purpose tonight is to kind of discuss some of those things, but also give you the opportunity to interact. So if you wouldn't mind taking out your cell phones now, and just please text my name, Enrique Meana, 187 to 22333. And what I'd like you to do is text 3 characteristics that you would say describe your favorite coach or teacher from your childhood. Let's see if that works. Hopefully that works. We'll start seeing some results there.
Phone number is
22333. So text my name 187 22333. Let's see if this works. It worked in the office.
So we actually write your name as part of the text?
Yeah.
All right.
Got it.
I work for it.
No responses yet. What 3 characteristics would you say describe your favorite coach or teacher from your childhood? Fun. All right. We got one.
We're technology.
There we go. There we go. Here they come. Here they come. Here they come. Now, as you start to see them populate, have you seen one that refers to how much knowledge or experience? Have you seen any? I have not seen one yet. Oh, okay, one. So, I've done this in every clinic that I've run when I'm speaking to parents, even when I'm speaking to coaches, because it's interesting that the most important thing is connection. How does that person connect to you? Connection is extremely powerful. Emotional connection is extremely powerful. So, one of the things that we discussed is how best to connect with kids. So we talked to coaches about making sure that you speak to their level. While we know you may have a lot of knowledge about the game and a lot of ideas, but can you connect with a child? Can you speak using their language, but also speak in a way that they can understand? So this is just one way. Now, I was a sports parent too, by the way. I used to be on the sidelines, just like that. I had 2 daughters. They're both older. They're grown. They've moved on now. And one of the things, from my point of view, is my philosophy has always been, it's not my responsibility or my job to coach my kids. Just like it's not my responsibility or my job to be their teacher in school. Okay? Now maybe you homeschool your kids, and that's okay too. I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with you coaching your own kids either. But what's interesting is that we have found, and there are many stories out there throughout history. One in particular, a very famous soccer player out of Hungary, said that the best thing that ever happened to him was that his father never coached him. That's why he reached the level that he did. But that's just, just throwing that out there. I'm just throwing that out there. So, what happens on the sideline is interesting too. So, let's take a look at that. In the scope of things, what is youth sport? What is youth soccer? We're talking about youth soccer here. It is a learning experience. It is a learning environment. It's a learning environment. Okay? We talk about youth sports as being a good environment for learning life skill. I talk about 3 things, 3 C's. Communication. What do we learn about communication when we're playing in a sport? In a team sport? Okay? Cooperation. Coordination. Okay? 3 C's. So here are the instructions. We're going to start off, it's going to look a little silly, sound a little silly, but you'll see where it goes. Okay, what I'd like you to do now is just get into a rhythm. So one person's going to say 1, the other one's going to say 2. And then back to 1. Keep going. Go with your partner. Go with your partner. Just get into a rhythm. Just get into a rhythm. 2, 2, 2. Stop. I told you it was going to be silly. Okay. This time, 1 is going to clap. 2 is going to be 2. So, if you went first, you would go 1. No, you don't have to say 1. Just clap. All right. Just clap. Go. Get into a rhythm. Stop. Told you it was going to be silly, didn't I? Okay. Now, 2, okay, 2 is going to be snapping your fingers. So, go. Stop. Okay. Listen carefully. 1 is clap, 2 is, and now we go back to stomp. So, 1, yeah, okay, got it? Stay in sequence. Stay in sequence. Yes, you're going to change the order now. So, one more time. Sequence. Clap is 1, 2 is snap, then you go to stomp, and now you go back to what? Clap. Somebody else is on clap. There you go. All right, ready? Get set. Pass, dribble, shoot, 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 pass, dribble, shoot. What just happened? We got it right. I didn't go with it. What just happened? No idea. Sideline behavior. Exactly. Sideline behavior. This is what happens. Kids can't keep track of everything. We're shouting and screaming for them to do something, and it's already done. The play's over. So, just think about that next time. This little experiment. Okay. What is appropriate? Just being quiet? Cheering. Is that appropriate? Should we not only cheer for our own child, but maybe cheer for everyone else? Yeah. Why not when the opponent makes a good play? Why not? So, just keep that in the back of your mind, this little experiment, and how kids' brains work, okay? And, oh, and by the way, at the highest level, there are 4 or 5 decisions being made in less than 3 seconds. Just think about that for a second, okay? So, our game requires that, right? And this is what we're trying to teach the kids. But they're not going to be able to learn about how important it is for them to make decisions if everyone's making decisions for them. Right? The worst part of youth sports, which kids tell us all the time, is, hold on, I'll get to it, the car ride. athletes, the U.S. Olympic athletes, and they asked them, what do you remember most about your childhood and your youth growing up? And they said, the car ride with mom and dad. So just think about that. These were Olympic athletes. And they questioned as well professional athletes, and they do say that they do remember that car ride home. So some examples of what to do, right? So now you're in that car. Johnny hasn't had a very good game. Susie hasn't had a very good game. Now, we can determine what was good and what was not good. That's not the important thing here. But how do you handle that? How do you best handle that? How many of you have gone through that experience where there's definitely something that they're upset about? Okay? How do you handle that? What do you do?
I always let my kid initiate. I never, ever.
Excellent.
That's the one thing I can say, my kid would never say what you just said that kids remember.
Yeah.
Whether she had a good game or, good game, I may say something just like, oh, it was a great game. But if it wasn't a great, whether it was her personally or her team did not do well, there's no discussion unless she initiates the conversation.
Number one thing, yes. The child should initiate. Absolutely. Children have 4 basic needs. We talk about playing with unhealthy pressure to win, imposed by parents and coaches. A large majority of kids have told us that the reason they quit sports is because winning becomes so important to the adults. Right? So I mentioned the one document that I think everyone should read, which was Project Play, Aspen Sports Institute. Now I'm going to mention the second. It's by a researcher, Amanda Visick, V-I-S-E-K, that wrote her dissertation, a doctoral degree, on what she called fun maps. And what she did was she went around and she surveyed kids in all different sports, and she asked them the question, what do you want out of your youth sports experience? What's most important out of your youth sports experience? And what do you think? Number one, fun. Okay, but what does fun mean? And that's what she wanted to get to. What did, it's easy to say we want it to be fun. And every time I speak to coaches, they answer the same way. We want it to be fun. And I go watch them train and they're screaming and yelling at the kids. So what does fun mean? Well, a lot of things. What she did was she went ahead and she put together 84 different definitions. I think it's 84 different definitions for what fun is. And then she categorized those into 4 categories. And so where do you think winning ranked out of 84?
36.
48. Somewhere around there. 48. What was most important? Anyone know?
Friends.
There were 3 things. Well, belonging, right? Belonging, you can say, has something to do with friendships. Anyone else?
Improving.
Okay, learning. Learning, okay. Developing. Good. One more.
Freedom.
What do you mean by freedom?
Just the ability to make decisions for yourself and not have something imposed upon you.
What happens when you make decisions? You make mistakes.
Freedom to
So,
make mistakes.
freedom to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Freedom to grow and learn from mistakes. Right? And so this is what they calculated as fun. So quite interesting. The peak height velocity is that moment in time where your body stops growing because you've been growing so fast, so quickly, okay? And that usually happens, for females it's going to happen earlier than males. And actually now there are recorded instances of females starting puberty as young as 8. Okay? and males starting puberty as young as 11. But what ends up happening is once peak height velocity, when you get to your peak height, then you stop growing. So then where else do you grow? You grow muscle, you grow stronger, you grow faster. But up until that point, you know, there are other areas that we need to address. So, questions, thoughts, comments? Does this make sense? Parents? You get it? We say females grow at a much faster rate than males. So things to keep in mind in regards to that. And then there's, last thing, self-determination theory. Anybody ever hear of self-determination theory? So, what do you think it means? What do you think self-determination means? Thoughts? Motivation. Who motivates who? Does the coach motivate your child? The environment motivates your child. The environment motivates your child. The environment that the coach sets up motivates your child best. Okay? So motivation also comes from inside. So there's an intrinsic motivation that's much stronger, they say, in children than it is extrinsic motivation. So we have found through self-determination theory, we are finding that children are looking for competencies, are looking for things that they can learn and develop and be strong in, and be comfortable and confident. That's what I'm looking for. Be confident in doing these things. And so we have to allow that to come out. Okay, so what's happening? That's not happening. That's not happening. Why isn't it happening? What's happened to internal motivation? What's happened to learning and wanting to learn more and wanting to develop further?
Being stifled.
Why?
From a coach, they're afraid.
Exactly. That's it. Bottom line, they're afraid to make mistakes. They're afraid to make mistakes. The one thing that I tell the kids when they start the season, at least when I coach the kids that I'm lucky to coach, I always tell them, you can't make enough mistakes from me. Because if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not developing. If practice looks real comfortable, and it looks real nice and neat, that's not practice. Practice should be messy, ugly. It should be messy and ugly. Because if it's not, then there's no growth happening. So we talk about these types of things. Motivation, and what goes along with it is building of self-esteem and confidence.